Welcome. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
And welcome to our bi-weekly, is that correct?
Yes.
It's been a while. Bi-weekly Devstream. My name is Matt. This is HP and Mark. Hi.
Hi.
Usually on these streams we talk about upcoming features and stuff that's been going on, and I think we've just got some cool stuff today. But first, Far North Coast.
Huh.
What about Far North Coast? It's the perfect map. There's no problems with it. Is that what you want to say, Matt?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Everybody's happy about it.
It's gone really well. No, I mean, I think you guys might have spoken about it the last stream, because I think it had just launched before the last stream. So
you didn't have a chance to talk about it yet.
No.
So what are your thoughts on Far North Coast?
Yeah. What are the thoughts from the man who made Far North
Yeah.
Coast? I want to
You
put
guys-
all the blame on
you guys can blame
on
me.
Matt.
It was the single hardest thing I've worked on in Foxhole. Not just because of it's a really complex map, but also because of the water.
Yeah.
The water has been, we literally were just like, hey, let's put in some water stuff. I was like, okay, great, let's do it.
No, I think one of the big...
It was a gross understatement.
No, I think I think you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Matt, but to summarize, the feeling that I got is we were really focused on getting the technical aspect of the water stuff down, like just making the boats work, making the transition from the water to land, that we kind of neglected to think about the gameplay. I think
we did think, but
we did think about it,
but
but in terms of the amount of effort, is usually more on maybe half on gameplay and half on the technical. But the technical is just so hard and was stumping us until literally the last minute, that I think that if there was a mistake, it was that we should have put more thought into the gameplay side, and there just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough time at the end of the day to really think that through. And I think a lot of that was, even for myself, I was just so worried about the ship's not working that we should have been thinking about the beach landings.
I was much happier to just put it out there though.
Yeah.
Than to constantly just tweak and tinker, because sometimes you can over. In this case, I think definitely we talked about this yesterday for quite some time in a meeting about the intricacies of the game, and that we need to definitely work on that a little bit more when we're releasing a new map. And it was a hard map to work on. It was a hard map after release. It's hard to play. It seems like difficulty is the name of Far North Coast.
I would say that on a technical aspect, we at least achieved what we were set up to do, which was to have a map that was water based in a way.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
But
ultimately,
I think that we reached the goal of getting the technical aspects of water vehicles working, getting the technical aspects of a beach landing working, but the gameplay side is just kind of acceptable, but lots of problems. Definitely lots of problems that need to be fixed, and we underestimated it. I don't think there's really any other way to say it. I think I said this last time, that there were so many times in the game where we were like, let's just make vehicles, and then it worked. Let's just make this, and then it just worked. And this time we kind of applied that same philosophy, and it was a lot more. It's we bit off a lot more than we could chew, and now we just kind of have to go back and make it better, right? There's nothing else to say about it. There's really no excuse. It is what it is, right?
I think we're committed to the concept of the map, and
yeah.
it's a matter of, because I think this idea of short combat is, to me, incredibly intriguing. This is the map I wanted from day one. so
although if there is one, sorry,
go ahead.
There's a thought I don't want to lose. I think if there's a silver lining in all the things that kind of failed, I think we did learn a lot of things about the game though, right? And for me, how incredibly difficult it is to take a fortified position when you don't have a spawn that's close. I think it's just that is a dominant factor in the gameplay, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that until now, I mean, it might be obvious to like a lot of people, but I think that like it was made very clear with the beach landings that if you don't have a supply line that is very close to fortified position, it's very difficult to just go in there with a bunch of guys and try to take a position, right? I think that was a valuable lesson, which was great. But I think another thing, Matt, that, you know, another sort of like silver lining is that we've been working, we're working heavily on the next map, and we're definitely almost, I would say, like overcompensating, but we're focusing on the gameplay a lot at the beginning now. And you know, I don't want to give anything away, but you know, we're focusing a lot on the gameplay, and yeah, I guess I don't have anything more to say because I don't want to spill the beans on the map yet.
I mean, I'm excited for it, and obviously we've learned from Far North Coast, and I think we're not going to abandon Far North Coast. We're going to improve it. It's going to be good. And the gameplay's got to support it. I think there's more gameplay features that could be added, and but we understand that it is a difficult map, and it's really hard to push forward. Like it's totally not lost on us. I see this in the forums all the time, like change it, and you know, we're listening, we're paying attention.
Yeah, we're not necessarily gonna make it easy, because I don't think that's not the idea of the map in any way. It's supposed to be like beach landings are always hard, so it's not supposed to be an easy map in any way, shape, or form. But it shouldn't be the way it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
Well, let's move on.
Yeah.
We're gonna start up with community highlights.
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yes. Yeah, let's start with community highlights, and this time I just want to start with like something nice and simple. It's just a nice illustration that Kurdan did. Looks cool, different style. It's a warden soldier, probably a logistics guy because of the hammer.
Well, like, you tend to like to highlight the more stylized.
I love that kind of stuff.
Something that I kind of noticed.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool. I mean, I think it's kind of, I almost wish that there was a way to, you know, maybe we should have like an art contest at some point or something.
That would be so cool.
I guess the reason why I'm saying that, because the thing I actually want to say was that we've been seeing this art for like a whole year now, right?
Yeah.
Like longer than a year, and like I almost feel sometimes that like things don't get highlighted as much anymore, because it's kind of like, oh, there's more fan art this week, there's more fan art this week, but it's like the fan art this week is no lesser than the fan art from like a year ago.
Absolutely. And
I wish there was a way that we can kind of like put even more of a highlight on them, right?
Yeah, and not even that. Even on this same community highlights, there are other very amazing piece of content there that we just don't have time to actually go over one of them. And this one, I put it this one because this is so different from what I've seen. Like there's an illustrator that has a similar style that I saw once, and it was like, oh, this reminds me of these wood carvings that you see. It's you know, it's different, but there's so many good art being made by our players, and I agree with you. I don't think we have enough time, and I don't think we highlight them enough.
Yeah. I mean, you guys let us know how you would feel about having like an art contest of some sort. I think we could probably think of some kind of a prize, maybe. I don't know, just randomly.
Yeah.
Spitballing ideas here. Making work.
Yeah, more work for us.
From the Devstream live.
Great, thank you. The second thing I wanted to talk about is.
Is it okay if I hit play on one?
You can hit play. Yeah. I don't know if there's gonna be sound. You can mute the sound, because I don't think that's the important part right now. These are just a couple of videos that we had from the Foxhole Competition competitive league. Competition league. Sorry. And the competition first season just ended.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to give like a huge thanks for everybody that played in the competition. All the groups, all the clans, all the players that dropped in to help it make so people that were recording, people that were just organizing it, and it was really and congratulations to Pug that got won first place.
Yeah, no, I think it was pretty amazing. Something like that. When you look back, it seems like okay, well, it wasn't that hard, right? But like to like organize something, like we know how hard it is to like organize something, right?
Even the very last thing that they do every single match in which they line everybody to take pictures.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like 60 people, 70 people.
Yeah,
it is complicated. We cannot organize 10 people in the office.
Right. No, yeah, I think like hats off to the organizers of this. It was obviously very difficult to get this many teams all to like commit to this kind of schedule.
Absolutely.
And to kind of like see this through until the very end. We know it's very difficult because, you know, I guess not only from the perspective of like a game developer, but even from the perspective of like a fan of games. I've seen so many times games that I was a fan of, some group of people trying to like organize something like this, and it usually falls through after like 2 weeks, right? It's like, oh, first week everyone's pumped, second week like half the people don't show up, and then third week it's pretty much dead. But this thing was like, you guys saw it through until the very end, and that's an incredible feat, and I can't wait until the next season, which I think is starting next year though, right? From what I hear.
I'm not too sure. Foxhole Competition League is on the chat right now. When does the next season start? Let us know.
Yeah. No.
Who won?
Oh, Pug won. Yeah, Pug won, and then Erotic got second place, and then the third place. Who was third place again? 10cc?
Maybe 10cc.
I think it is.
Yeah. I think there was well, this is kind of...
The next season is January next year, apparently.
Cool.
That's not coming from... Oh, yeah, there it is, yeah.
I think it's next year.
Looking for January.
Nice. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, obviously, from the community as well, is the Castle Clapfoot.
Yeah.
Which was a one-day event. It all started with Crazy Flying Chicken, as far as I know. Like, he was the mastermind behind it. We did it last week on a Friday. For the ones that don't know, Castle Clapfoot was just a day that we, the devs, were in the game, and the players decided to do this event so that we could play with them. We were Colonials. We were stranded into in an area of Farnack Coast, and what happened was that the Colonials had to whisk us out, rescue us.
Yeah. And
the wardens were supposed to break our defenses.
Yeah.
It was unbelievably fun to play.
Yeah, it was
so cool.
It was a little quicker than I expected.
It didn't quite like unfold like how I thought it would, because apparently you got saved first for some reason.
Well,
one dev out of 10 got saved.
Well.
But
I can think of a couple reasons.
I can't think of a single reason.
But it was interesting. We were basically like escorted out of the castle.
Yeah.
And it was a really crazy moment because we were kind of under attack as we were in the landing APCs, and we were driving out of the hot zone.
Yeah.
And we were constantly being attacked. So it was almost like a movie moment. It's a little bit different from what you normally experience inside Foxhole, but it was definitely interesting. And it was also interesting because a couple of guys on our team are like fairly new to the game too.
Yeah.
So they were thrown into this really crazy situation where not only was it this new type of like gameplay, but it was probably like one of the first few times they've actually tried to play the game, right?
Lucas said Saving Private Markfoot, but it was more like Saving Private HB.
Yeah.
Because he was the one who was whisked away and we were left behind. And Stefan literally got dropped out of the back of our APC at some point.
That was beautiful.
It was fun. There was a couple of really good moments. I think we should do more dev events.
Yeah, I think.
But I think we should I think this was really cool, and I think it was a really cool to set up like a scenario. I wonder if there's ways that we can get even more involved.
I think
like
this just proves that our game allows for this kind of event, and we are more than happy to actually tag along and do. If you guys want to do something like that again, let us know, because again, all thanks to Crazy Flying Chicken, all thanks to everybody that actually.
Well, there was a lot of like community helpers.
Exactly, join in like in the morning.
And helped. Yeah, like for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of players that spent
a lot of time,
many hours, like 4 or 5 hours, just to like prepare for this event. It wasn't like 5-second thing.
No,
it was a lot of time and effort, and thanks to everyone. It was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We are more than happy to do it again. Let us know if you guys are interested in doing something like that again. Again, this was all organized by a community member, so anybody eventually can, if you have a nice idea, something that you guys want to try, give us a shout. Like, who knows? It was really, really fun. Thank you so much for doing that.
And I would love more excuses to play with the community, like in a schedule.
Yeah.
So we might have some things in store for today's Devstream that might actually help with that. Or I just just spitballing. Anyway, next thing, community suggestions.
Community suggestions. So we probably don't have time to go through all of these because I tend to always put a bit more, but we'll kind of touch on a few. So I guess I'll just try to like summarize each one of them. And this one is, we've seen this a long time ago, and it's kind of a revitalization of that idea, right? Which is being able to modify your truck. And I think that this is I think the reason why I want to talk about this one right now is because there's a lot of like cool stuff like this that we always talked about in the past, and like, there's like 1,000 ideas, and usually what ends up happening is that we end up only implementing like 1% of them or something, right? And but I think now that we're kind of past the whole like early access feature set, right? The launch feature set. We're starting to work on like more stuff now that is kind of going back to like revisit parts of the game and to actually like work on some of the things that we had talked about over the last year, where just the whole last year has just been this like almost a race to make sure that we have everything we need in the game to do the early access launch. But now that it's all out there, we can kind of go back and like make the existing game better, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of what the theme of like the next update for the game is going to be. So I definitely think there's room for stuff like this. Like, I think that being able to reconfigure your truck is definitely something that we have talked about many times on the team, right? And now that we're doing more crazy stuff with the vehicles, like landing APC, things like this have kind of gone more from like a pie in the sky idea to like, wait a minute,
we can actually,
maybe we can do it, right? So I think this was really cool. This one I just threw it in there because we just all kind of have to get this one out of the way, right? This wanting more boats with weapons on them and stuff like that.
Well, we do have a shipyard, right?
Well, we do have a shipyard, yeah.
Well, it only makes one thing right now.
Yeah.
This has gone way too cheesy for me, guys. I'm gonna bail out. This is kind of like cringeworthy material, but no. Anyways, so it's like we're not gonna waste all that effort, right, to make the shipyard. And I do think that stuff like this
is definitely in the cards.
Definitely in the cards, and I think stuff like this is. I don't think it's going to be a surprise to everyone when we start talking about this type of feature in the future, right? And like, I think we've invested a lot of time into getting the water system working. That it's not only going to be on a single map; it's going to be on multiple maps.
Yes,
it's going to be a huge part of the game in the future, right? So, yeah, there you go.
What else?
Yeah, so this suggestion basically is that there is a frustration with like, this is like a quality of life thing that we've been hearing from both people on the dev team and on the outside, is the difficulty in like picking things up when you're in like the heat of battle, right?
Yeah.
There are a couple of guys on the team that have been shouting about this for like a whole year.
Since the beginning of the
and yeah, it's this frustration like when you're in the middle of like a firefight and then like and then you need ammo and then you walk over to the ammo and then you pick it up, but you end up picking like up like 100 materials or like a mortar, and then you're kind of like suddenly way slower than you should be, you know, and it's really frustrating. So I think this is something that, you know, we're not planning to work on this right now, but I guess it's one of those things that it's gonna have to happen at some point eventually. It's just a very frustrating thing. So I think this is a great suggestion. In this case, their solution for solving this was to actually have a toggle, almost like a filter of what you can pick up, so that when you're in the heat of battle, you know, you won't pick up a mortar necessarily. And like, I think this is kind of cool because maybe this isn't the ultimate solution, but this could be some sort of like a temporary thing I can see happening to help with that situation, right?
Yeah, just let's say there was a separate button, just as a spitball, and separate button to if you're on top of a pile of things in the radius, and a certain small radius, like a milli range radius, and you press that button, instead of being E to pick it up, it's, I don't know, whatever, Y, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you pick up all the ammo of the weapons that you have in your inventory. Or maybe the same thing if you have a backpack open. You open the backpack of a player, of a dead soldier, an enemy or ally, and then you instead of clicking on items, you press a button, and then it will automatically pick all the ammo for the weapons that you have on your inventory. So that if you need any weapon, then you can still do it manually, but things like that will
maybe
help.
Even better, it will stop if you're like over encumbered. It won't pick up.
It won't pick up more.
It won't pick up more than you can handle.
My only thought about that is
about the last one.
Yeah, is it takes time, and this is something that's being mentioned in the chat. It takes time in real combat to like strip someone of ammo.
Absolutely,
that's a very good point.
So, on one hand, I think the inventory stuff, like picking stuff up off the ground, et cetera, should be more streamlined.
Yeah.
but I don't know that necessarily that it should be easier to like strip a dead soldier of ammo.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's speaking to like the philosophy that we have, Matt, is that making things more like accessible has to come hand in hand with meeting the requirements of the game, which it needs to be more on like the realistic side, right? More feeling like what would actually happen.
I think if you would like fall back into like some woods where there's some dead soldiers and you could like sort of like scavenge them for ammo, then go back into like the front. Like to me that makes a lot of sense. But anyway,
I think that's a really good point.
It is a system that we have to look at anyway, because of like the way you pick up and the message shows up. It's still not optimal, but
it isn't like Call of Duty where like ammo should like fly into your gun as you like walk over it. Like, to me that doesn't make sense.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
And the last one, I think.
Oh, Matt, this one's kind of something we've been wanting to do for a long time.
This is.
Like, why are there birds chirping at night? Are they night birds?
Nocturnal birds.
It's so simple. We just haven't hooked up any sounds to the ambience. I'm hitting the table. I apologize. We haven't hooked up sounds to like the ambience. That's like, it's a simple thing. It's just like a lower priority. Eventually, we have everything to do it. We just haven't done it.
Right.
We have time.
We'll make this the last one then. So this one is the suggestion here is to abstract supplying a town to clean up some of the clutter that happens around the town hall. So I believe the idea is to have a proxy structure that you drop the supplies into instead, and then that feeds into the town hall. And then there's some other ideas afterwards about fine-tuning the weights of the items. An individual soldier should not be able to carry more than 1 to 2 crates at once, and not carry more supplies. So I think I think that second point here is one that I really wanted to like talk about, because something that we wanted from the game from the very beginning, and we almost got stuck with this system where players can carry like hundreds of materials. Like players can carry way more than what is realistic. Obviously it's a game, we can't make it 100% realistic, but it's pretty ridiculous that one guy can carry like all the concrete necessary
it takes
to build
forever, but you can
like
still do it.
3 concrete walls, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that's been very difficult to change in the game, because changing that would suddenly require us to have to rebalance a whole bunch of other stuff. But
that being said, it's something that we always discuss, that since it doesn't make sense right now in the game, it's something that we want to look at again.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think that was interesting. So anyways, I guess we'll move on to talking about new stuff that we're working on, Matt.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, a couple things. Just leave questions to the end. We do a Q&A at the end of the stream. A couple questions that are being asked.
Great.
We'll answer your questions.
Hard questions?
No. How big is the dev team? There you go. There's a question.
Cool. Great. So the autumn update, right? So this is the next update that we're going to be launching. It's coming October 12th with
Most
a giant
likely.
star asterisk beside it, because you know, we learned that when you're making games, it's very, you know, things happen at the last minute, and we kind of want the best of both worlds, so we're going to try it, right? The best of both worlds of saying this is when we think it's going to come, but also like leave flexibility.
Yeah, let's put it this way. This one, there are some other forces in play on the date that might influence a little bit the day it falls on. But that's what we want to do.
That's right. So so much cool stuff that we're working on, and I think that going back to what I mentioned at the end of the stream is that what we're trying to do now is we want to, now that all the launch stuff is completely over with, we want to actually go in and like dig deep and focus on a lot of the chronic issues that have been like affecting the game for a very long time, like those things we always wanted to like get to. And some of these things might seem like small things, right? And I think some of these things, you know, it's not like some giant flashy, oh look, we're gonna be adding planes or whatever, right? Sort of thing, which we feel is really important to work on these sorts of things, because we've seen a lot of other games in early access where they just plow through and they're like, well, let's just go add this new flashy feature number 35, and it's so easy to get into that sort of like a development cycle. I find it difficult to balance it, because that's a marketing thing, right? When you do that, you instantly get more people viewing your streams, you instantly get more people that are downloading the update and playing again, you instantly get more people that are purchasing the game, because it's like, whoa, look, we're gonna have a new dinosaur with a car on top and a tank on the arms, and it's just so amazing. And
the downside though is that if you do only those, the quality overall of your game goes,
it'll slowly go downhill, right? So like, we're doing a lot of things now, not only to fix current problems, current issues in the game, but also to like set us up to be able to fix them in future updates, right? So I want to get right into it and start talking about some of the things that we're going to be working on for this update. But before that, I just thought we'd show this cool picture of the new Colonial Halftrack, because it's finally complete, and I think it's a pretty nice job, Anthony. I think Anthony did a pretty good job on this, and yeah, we got the Warden one to look forward to now as well, right? So
yeah, this one is this far along in the line. It's out of my hands, at least. That's what I can.
Cool. And there is some cool stuff I want to talk about with this Halftrack, but getting back to features for the next update. So first thing is quality of life stuff, right? There's a couple of things there. Visual damage states for the structures, which we talked about previously in the blog. Character context menu, so that's being shortcuts to access
and things like
the usual functionality that you access on the player screen, so you don't have to sort through the list. Stacks of 100, finally hardest feature to implement ever, right? And
Believe it or not, it's not that obvious.
It's not. It's not. Well, there was the thing with that one is there was a lot of concerns, I think, on the technical side about certain assumptions that we may have made in the code that might make that difficult. And when we actually sat down to work on
Before you even said a word,
what?
The chat was losing their minds.
Over what?
About the 100 stack.
That's all we gotta do now, guys.
Exactly.
We gotta change numbers from 99 to 100.
That sounds perfect to me.
But in all seriously, in all seriousness, it wasn't as difficult as we thought, and we think it's something that is way long overdue.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. And then the server queue. So we're making some improvements there. The first launch of this on the surface isn't going to seem like it's that much different, but believe me that like under the hood, it's completely revamped, right? And a lot of the issues we had previously, like players dropping out or like being stuck on the queue screen, and things like that are going to be fixed, right? And also because we redid all the logic, we're also setting up support for the faction specific queues.
Yes.
Basically the first version of server queues, I could tell you, was a giant hack, right? This version is not a hack. It's
the real deal this time.
It's the real deal this time.
And let's explain just real quick why it was a hack.
That's a good point. Yeah. So without getting too far into
the technical
aspect of it, it's basically we were using a service from Steam that wasn't made for this type of purpose, but we were kind of piggybacking off of it to get this queue functionality working. But now, so basically when you enter this queue, it would have to talk to Steam, right? Yeah. Which was a really crude way of implementing this sort of feature, but at the time we needed something quick and it worked, right? But now we're implementing it in such a way where the client doesn't have to go through Steam. It talks straight to the server.
Yep.
And therefore we're able to add a lot more like complex functionality, and not only that, but like reduce much of the wait time, right? So the whole problem with the queue being stuck was just really that like previously, no matter what happens, there's always a certain amount of wait time that has to happen in between one person going in. Like if suddenly 50 people leave, all 50 people are not going to be able to join right away. It's going to have to like wait a certain amount of time for each of the 50 players, right?
Yep.
But in this new system, everyone can just kind of like join with a very short amount of time, right? So if that makes sense. So that's another thing. And next thing is some sort of, we're also working on refreshing the visuals of a couple of vehicles, and also like working on some improved functionality for it. So I mean, first of all, we're going to be releasing the Warden Landing APC, so that's kind of like something that you guys knew was in the pipeline. It's going to be part of this update. And another thing is Halftrack refresh, so we're going to try to get both of the faction Halftracks in there, and also some extra things we're going to work on there. So one is, besides them having faction specific visuals, we're going to have a physical pass-through system. So we're taking some of the technology that we used on the landing APC and we're going to port it over to the Halftrack so that now you'll be able to actually, you can vault into that space at the back of a Halftrack and you can shoot from the back, besides using
the actual
mounted gun. And it fits up to 2 people, so you can have the guy on the mount and you can have like another guy just kind of like standing right behind, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it like a bunch of guys in the back of a pickup truck with guns. That's kind of like, and it has a mounted gun as well.
And we're also going to take a look at like rebalancing it a bit, because I think when we introduced the landing APC, there was a little bit of like overlap with the Halftrack in a weird way, and it's something we're just going to like take a look at the balance probably and change a couple of things around there, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, look forward to this revamp of the Halftracks. And new game modes, right? So we are going to add new game mode, and I'm going to talk about it a bit more later, well, in the next slide, but it's going to be the weekly Wargames mode, right?
Yep.
So I just read this right now, and it actually sounds very misleading because it sounds like weekly wars, like what we used to do. It's completely different from that, right? It's going to be a game mode that is on one or more servers, likely starting with a single server, where the game is going to change slightly every week, right? We're going to add some like gameplay modifiers that's going to change the game on that server each week, so it plays slightly different. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in one of the upcoming slides. And besides that, we're taking a look at a lot of the bugs reported, a lot of the issues that were reported on the feedback thread that we posted after these streams on the Foxhole subreddit. And we really found a lot of value in those threads, and we're really trying to take a couple of these like
the top ones.
It's a combination of like the top ones and things that we have time that we can solve, and sort of each iteration try to pick off a couple of those, right?
Yep.
So if you want something fixed, if you want something heard, leave your feedback in those threads.
We really do read
because
them.
we really hone in on those ones a lot, and we look at the upvotes, we look at the comments, we look at what people are saying, and if it's relevant to the game, if we feel like it's helping the game reach the goals that we have, then we we put those in a kind of like a higher priority queue, right?
Yeah, and it's working out very well for us, so we can like visualize what is like most hurting the community at a certain moment.
Mm-hmm.
So those are being
Absolutely,
very helpful.
it's great.
So keep using them.
And thanks for everyone who has contributed to those threads.
Yes,
it's been very helpful. And there's probably going to be a couple more things we're going to sneak in, like always. But we'll wait till like we like reveal the update.
So who is being campy now by putting in more?
More, yeah.
Anyway,
I add that to like almost everything I post, and it's like it's the worst. It's the worst, like, and more stuff, but it's the truth, right? There is more. So this is the weekly Wargames mode. These are the examples of. So basically, first I want to say that there are two goals that we have for this mode. One goal is that there's a lot of changes that we wanted to make to the game for a long time, like even stretching back from like a year ago. But they've always just been so difficult because Foxhole is such a large game, and each server has like 120, 140 players, and trying to just inject a really intrusive change into the game just out of nowhere is very difficult, because you can literally ruin the game. Right? If suddenly we pushed out a big change into the game without any kind of like prior testing with a live audience, it could literally be like the game just sucks for like 2 weeks, right? I mean, you guys even saw how much just having a new map kind of affected the game, and like changing some other things has always been very difficult. Even when, for example, we changed the item production system, that had to go through
a huge thing.
This whole, we did a dev branch, we tested it out with a bunch of players. There was some feedback. We had to go back to the drawing board. We had to revamp it into the stockpiling system, and then finally it worked, right? But it was just, that's something that's very difficult to do now, because there's hundreds of players playing the game constantly, and just introducing something is very difficult. So getting back to what I was saying about that first goal is that this is a way that we can try out things that we always wanted to try out.
Not only we, but also things that like sometimes the players ask, but we are sometimes a little bit reticent to try, because there might be a huge impact on the whole game.
Yeah.
But this allows us to give it a shot, see what happens, see how people like it, see how it works.
See if it
breaks the game.
If it gets us one step closer to the ultimate version of the game that we want.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
You know, like some examples of this is, you know, we've always heard of this problem of like the unbalance of the team, right? But with the upkeep modifier, well, that kind of sees what happens when we do try to introduce something that
to balance it out of, like tries to
balance it. And in some of these cases, we feel almost like it frees us up from the pressure of making the perfect version of that feature. Because as an example,
we should call this weekly experimental war games.
Well, that was the first name for this mode. We actually went through a whole bunch of names, but we landed on this one because we felt that experimental mode might turn off too many people. Whereas we don't want this to be like a, it's not like a dev branch, right?
Special war game.
It's a real mode that we're going to support at least in the near future, and yeah. So like, but getting back to the goals, besides it being something that we can try out features that we always wanted to see in the game, it's also there as simply a fun thing. So sometimes the modifiers might just be something that we think is fun. It's not necessarily like, okay, this is some serious thing that we're gonna use to experiment that we can merge back into the main game. It's just something like that can be fun. But I think that if there is something we do find that we find works really well towards the game that we want to make ultimately, we may merge that back into the main game, right? And it'll be interesting because we can hear feedback from you guys too in a real world environment. We can actually, like, you know, if it turns out that one of these modifiers is like, wow, this is like a vastly better game, right? Then maybe we could think about how to work that back in.
Yeah, exactly. Right. How to implement that on the real, not on the real, because this is also a real game mode, but on the overall game,
absolutely,
game loop. Yeah. I'm actually very excited about this. I think there are so many ideas that people toss around and that we discuss as well internally, that we are always so cagey about trying and seeing what goes. But I think this time this is gonna be a really interesting mode for us as well to explore possibilities.
Absolutely.
And it might be and
try something because this is like one of those things where it's like you know, I want to just like come up with some really lame example, right?
Okay.
But if you're like, I'm literally making this example up on the fly, so it's gonna fall flat in his face halfway through. But if you're owning like a restaurant and you have a bunch of like dishes, but there's a lot of stuff that you want to try, you can't just suddenly be like, I'm gonna change the menu around, guys. It's gonna be different. This is the new stuff, and expect everyone to be happy.
But you do a pop-up store. And then on that pop-up store, you can do it.
Like, this is the experimental menu. Maybe we can kind of like try this out. If it works out, then we could take these things from that menu. Okay, I'm
really excited about it. This metaphor went alright.
Yeah, but yeah, I hope. And if you guys have any ideas on what will be really cool modifiers, it's also something that we can.
We're open as well. Yeah, absolutely. This is exciting. I think that people that have been playing the game for a long time, they're gonna have something to look for.
Absolutely.
Even something more to look for, like on the game, on the way.
And the current plan is that we're going to change this every week, so there is going to be something to look forward to every week.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
This is cool.
Cool. I'm afraid to flip to the next page to see what mistakes in the
I'm
slides.
on the camera. You go ahead, and we will cut it when you are ready.
Live demo. Can you show that one?
No, we can't possibly see this. It is sacrilege.
Secrets. Live demos coming. So I want to walk you through some of the cool features that we talked about that are coming in the autumn update. So I'm gonna go here. Oh, for some reason I was disconnected.
So I shouldn't have.
Well,
come on, Mark.
Sorry. I got disconnected. I don't know what happened. Hopefully this.
How much time do we have? Okay, we have time.
We're probably going to go just a little bit over to accommodate the Q&A because we are running a little bit late.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So we have to talk less.
I'm going to...
just do what you need to do. It's still cut up.
Okay, cool. Oh, it's still...
Yeah, it's to the camera.
Okay, cool. So...
There we go.
It's fine. There we go. So, first thing we want to show you.
Sorry. Go ahead.
First thing we want to show you is the visual damage states, so you can kind of see what that's gonna look like. So, here's two structures that were built. Going to throw a bunch of grenades at them, and you can see that already the fence looks slightly damaged. And if I continue to, let's see, let's do another one. And now it's even more damaged looking. It's in like the critical damage state, and I think that this is one of those things where it's really gonna, I think, help to identify the weak points in bases, right? Whereas often there's no difference. Something could have a
for both the people that are repairing and for the people that are attacking. So that's with the wall.
And as you can see, the damage state on the wall. And if I continue to attack it, this is the second damage state. You can see it's even more destroyed, right? So that's going to be applied across all the entire game, right?
Every structure, everything that is determined to structure.
Absolutely.
So that's anything that constructs items, anything that you can build or rebuild.
Yeah.
So that includes like the bridges. So
it was a pretty large undertaking for like the modeling team to
what it doesn't include is vehicles.
Yes.
And this is the new Colonial Halftrack, right? And just wanted to show you how the physical passenger system works. So you can vault into the back now. You can mount. Oh, I'm encumbered, so I can't. But I can just show you, like, while this thing's moving, you can fire off of it. I'm gonna drop some items. Get myself unencumbered.
Someone says that looks colonial AF. It is indeed colonial.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
This is colonial. You can mount, and there you have it. So, yeah, that's. And I guess if there is one more thing to. I guess if there is one thing to show, but it's not really like much exciting thing to show, is let's see here. I'm going to use some like dev commands here to.
You've already seen them. So.
There you go, stacks of 100. Exciting stuff, since you guys seem to be really excited about that. Finally, stacks of 100 are going to be in the game, so that'll make things less painful. And that's it. That's it for the live demo, I guess.
All right, cool. We have some questions already just flying in.
Flying.
How many players should be able to fit in the back of the APC? And I think by APC he means
Halftrack.
Halftrack, because the APC is like 6 plus.
What do you mean? APC is like 50.
Yeah, I know. It was intended for 6.
Well, so the answer is similar. It's supposed to be one on the gun and one extra passenger.
But in reality, people are gonna find a way to put 100 players on them. So.
Yeah, it's gonna be like one on top of each other.
And that was Gamma, by the way. That asked that question.
Cool.
So it's 2, but you guys will
probably gonna break somehow. Yeah. We're okay.
Bramley and a whole bunch of other people are asking when will World Conquest return, which is a hot topic.
World Conquest, yeah. So I think that was asked last time.
I think that the time before, I remember asking you this question. Yeah.
It's a very high priority. We are working on it, but.
For instance, things that we did with the queue and things like that are helpful for the World Conquest. The way the World Conquest works. So it's not like we are abandoning it to do other things. There are several of the technical aspects of the game that are gonna be are also geared towards that.
Yeah, the hard part about World Conquest is that we want to figure out a way to bring it back in a way where it's like sustainable for us too, because it requires. I think a lot of the friction that was involved in making World Conquest work was just the operation of it was a nightmare, right? It literally required a couple of devs, well, at least 2 on the weekend when we used to run them to get together on Saturday and have to literally push a button at the same time and get on all the servers to get them all to start up at the same time. And there was very low margin for like mistakes if someone pushed the wrong button at the wrong time, if something else like happened and suddenly like bad things will happen, like one of the servers won't be in sync and like maybe like the wind condition won't properly trigger. There's a lot of these, like it was kind of like barely working, which is kind of cool that you guys think it was a really cool feature, because at the time we spent all this time and effort on it and it was very difficult to operate and we got a lot of negative feedback, and we decided to focus on other things for a while. So I guess this time we want to make sure that we reduce the amount of work that it takes to operate World Conquest, so that we can increase like iteration times. We can be more flexible with it. Yeah, I think that's sort of where we're at with that.
Sweet. There's one question in here from Timberwolf. Will we ever see a small arms overhaul? Currently, the visuals and audio for automatic weapons do not correspond with the actual fire rate. And this is something that I have talked to you about many, many times. The way that we currently do it is not the way that it's currently implemented on the back end is not correct. It's not the way that it probably should be from the audio visual perspective. Like the way it fires is perfect, but just on the visual, sort of
like the tracers,
the tracers and the sounds and everything is not the way that I would like to do it as the person who like makes the sounds and the effects and stuff. And it's definitely something I've talked about a lot. I know it's something that we're going to work on at some point. So have no fear. If you have anything to add. No. Okay. Great.
Let's pick some hard questions.
Yeah.
If you want a hard
preferably
question?
the ones that you answer. So we talk a lot. We'll talk way too much.
I'll be like, we have no comment on that.
Why, when you refine scrap, is it 75%? Why not 100%? And will we fix the 82% bug exploit feature?
Because so
and that comes from Go Answer.
That's a good question.
Nice name.
I think a lot of that came from salvaging normal items, right? I think if it was a straight up like we didn't have, if the manufacturing plant couldn't salvage like submachine guns and rifles and stuff like that, then we'd probably just make it 100%, right? But a long time ago, we added in this feature that you can salvage regular weapons, and we felt that there should be a little bit of a penalty if you recycle a submachine gun, as an example, because it'd be kind of cheap if you just completely reconvert all of your items into something else, right? But we stuck with that balance, and yeah, it's just kind of been there from like the beginning, right? I think there's some pretty good arguments to change that, but that's the reason why it is the way it is.
Yeah, make it 50%.
That was random.
I just want to address this because it's coming up, and we're just gonna say yes. What do you guys think about adding uniforms for specific roles?
Uniforms for specific roles?
This is like weekly. Yeah. We should have like a bingo for like.
What are the things that everybody has? Yeah.
The Devstream common questions.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's we've talked about it a lot. If you want to watch the other streams.
Well, actually, it might make sense. Sorry to interrupt.
No,
I think
if you want to.
I think actually it might make sense if we almost had like frequently asked questions.
FAQ on a Q&A.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, right?
Maybe, yeah, totally.
I've
seen this come up a lot. I've seen this come up a lot on forums. I've seen it come up a lot in these questions and on Reddit and stuff. Merondin, I don't know if Merondin, I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Storm rifle buff ? I think people aren't happy with the power of the storm rifle given the requirements to use it.
Yeah, we have that logged as something to take a look at. So we're going to take a look at it.
As with everything else, balancing is like a whole pass that we can do.
Yeah.
These questions are too easy. Let me look for something.
For the complex, new questions. Dig deep.
I bought the game because it was advertised as one big war. In reality, it's a bunch of different servers running on the map at a time. Worm pitch. Wampitch? How do you feel about that statement?
Yeah, no,
There's a hard question.
I hear you on that, and that's something that we are working towards with the World Conquest mode. We had that working for those of you who have been around, and we were just kind of talking about it a moment ago. But in World Conquest mode, it is like much more of that feeling, like everyone's in the same world, right?
Yep.
And yeah, I guess that is something that maybe we can go back and review some of that text. If it's misleading, we probably want to fix some of that, right? So no, that's a very good point.
But it's also, this is something that we're always striving for. It's not something that we lost sight of, that we want the gameplay to feel like you are one part of this giant war that continues on and on and on. and we understand that by having like each separate map, that feeling is somewhat lost to a certain extent.
Yeah,
that is our goal, though.
But it is our goal, and that is it is something that we are working on. So we apologize if you felt it was misleading, and as Mark said, but and we can definitely look into that. But it is not something that we are abandoned or anything like that.
And I think that it comes up in like certain parts of the game, like we try to push it in that direction, but obviously until like World Conquest comes back in some form, you know, there's always going to be a question of like, is it really like a persistent world, or is it just these like separate things?
Even the persistency of characters and things like that is something that we're still working on, and it's still so much work to be done on that, so that it has that feeling. So thank you for the comment. Actually, it's good to keep us honest. Like it's literally.
Superman Kyle asks, and I like this question because again, it's another thing that comes up, but we don't always, because we have new people coming all the time, we don't always get to answer. And in different games like Call of Duty, you can pick a class and know what role that everybody in your group does. Is there a way we can add this to help the organization?
You want to take this one, HB?
Sure. We want roles to work. We never meant to do something like Call of Duty, but I understand where you're coming from. That having that visual feedback helps understand what is the role that everybody's taking in the game. We want that to be more organic, and because of that, the way we are planning to implement roles are in a slightly different way. We want to have that your role is dictated by what you carry, by what you want to do at a certain moment. So if you want to become a medic, you could potentially pick up a medic jacket or something that has like the cross sign, something like that, that will indicate to everybody else that you are supposedly working as a medic because you're wearing that clothes. It doesn't give you any stats difference or anything. You can still play most of the same way. Maybe small tweaks on the way you do it. You can maybe carry one extra bandage because you have one extra pouch, but nothing like a healing touch or anything like that. And the actual gameplay comes from what you do. So if you have the items to cure somebody, like a med kit or bandages, then you can use them. Just like anybody else that doesn't have the cross on their arm could still use it, but it is a visual feedback. So all these how do I say it? I don't want to use the word feedback again. All these cues, visual cues, we want them to come organically. On a different aspect, for the squad system, we are working on getting the squad system better so that we can separate. Perhaps one of the things that we're thinking is separating squads in different tiers and things like that, which don't have gameplay influence but help organize people so that if you're in the same squad, you know what somebody's doing or something like that.
Right.
But we don't have classes. We don't want to have classes because we want people to always be able to play. Well, they're just human beings. They're not. You don't have special powers or anything like that.
And that comes from Royale Charm.
Thank you.
AT Golden asked, when could clans be implemented in the game, or is there even a goal to do so? This would probably help encourage players to organize more.
Yes.
Yeah. Clans.
Are there going to be clans?
So, I guess like by clans,
I think he's talking more about like the organization that they see on like Discord, that they have like the 42.
Like a guild in World of Warcraft.
Yeah. I think we like that idea. I think that it's one of those things that's probably a pretty large feature. So I guess I'm thinking like a clan system where you're actually able to like add people in and it's persistent even like between servers and everything. It's just like this is your clan and you can add like and you can chat with them.
It's
you
more
can
of
messages.
Global things in the squad system. It's not.
Yeah, I think that's something I definitely think we would be excited about. It does sound like it would be a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
Which isn't stopping us.
Which isn't stopping us, but I guess like I'm expressing that to like let you guys know that probably wouldn't be anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I would say it's not off the table. But it's something that is not anytime soon. Yeah.
Another thing is that we are trying we're looking into ways, at least in the meantime, well, something like that doesn't come up, into integrations in the game with, for instance, Discord, to help people organize things like that, or even like I remember I guys saw some mock-ups for the player's profile, and we wanted at least to have like a field there that you could like state what clan you're part of, things like that. We are looking into that as well.
Yeah.
At least in the meantime.
I'm going to take one last question, which is kind of a fun one. Where did it go? Big Slatty?
I don't know.
What do you think about trucks, half-tracks, etc., exploding and dealing damage to vehicles and nearby buildings and players?
I like it.
To me, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've always wanted is when they light on fire, they start taking damage in that last state.
And then they spread fire too.
And then they spread fire.
But when we implement fire in the game, that might be
similarly, like you should be able to blow up fuel and oil. Like there are things, definitely like interactable things that we'd love to do.
You can just like blow up like the enemies like oil fields and nobody has fuel anymore.
We don't have anything to confirm or deny on that, but
I
don't
cool.
see it being the hardest,
really cool.
the hardest thing or like impossible. I feel like
it's just like water. It's easy, right?
Yeah, it's just like water.
Well, I mean, like when world structures blow up, they deal damage. Right? Like if you're on a bridge, it completely obliterates anything.
Yeah, nothing survives that. Yeah, I don't see why not. Like it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
We like that idea.
Dark Knight X33X asked Molotovs and vodka? ? On that note,
the Flames of War update, man.
Yeah.
Flames of War.
Confirming now.
Don't say that. Thank you guys for hanging out, and hope you guys enjoyed the dev stream. Hope you guys got some interesting information. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask on Discord. Leave your feedback in the suggestion thread on Reddit, which Mark will post on Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. And on Reddit and on maybe the Steam forums. Maybe we can
perhaps
actually post that. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. If you have any final words,
check out the community dev stream. The community stream.
Check out the community stream next Thursday.
Not this Thursday. On the next week, Thursday.
Yep. Cool.
Can I do this? Does this work?
What?
Will this work? No. Well, go follow Foxhole Community.
Oh.
And
there you go.
We'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.
Bye.
See you guys.